get in Hiren Ved, who's joining us now. Hiren, of course, is Director and CIO at Alchemy Capital Management. Hiren, good morning. Great to have you with us here, and good to see you here in our
Good
studios.
morning, Prashant.
What's top of mind, Hiren? Is it elections? Is it waiting for the verdict, looking past it?
Just let's get done with it, right?
How does one position for it, Hiren, if one can?
One doesn't position for, I mean, like, I know it's cheesy to say that, but I mean, if you're a long-term investor, you don't change
anything
positioning, based on events like that, because, I mean, frankly, while the overwhelming consensus is that there will be, stability and the same dispensation will come back. It's so usually long-term trends don't change so quickly based on an event, right? So we've seen that in so many elections in the past. People have kind of thought about, okay, will the leadership in the market change if there is a change in the political dispensation? Very difficult to say that. It didn't change in 2000, for example, in the bull market of 2003 to 2007. There was a abrupt change in 2004. But the leadership did not, the leadership amongst the sectors didn't really change. So I guess just stay with what you have.
Let me ask you this then. If you get, it's a big event in any case. I mean, you get what the market consensus is expecting. And we're pretty much at near record highs, 200 points away on the Nifty. You get that big number and all is well on the 4th. You think the market does, it kind of keeps going like it has, the pace it has over the last 6-8 months? Or you think a lot is in the price? So you think it starts something new?
Well, I think, I mean, obviously, if the results are what the market likes, then yes, you could have a big relief rally, so to speak. I think after a few days it will be back to kind of normal, right? And then there will be the anticipation for the budget. In terms of what happens. Well, there will be anticipation because they've talked about bold reforms. So people are, everybody is going to think. From my perspective, we will think about capital markets, what can come. Somebody else will think, what can come as a bold reform in the budget. But it'll be interesting to see. I think on the whole, in the run-up, if the results are as per the market's liking, then I think in the run-up to the budget, we should have a pretty decent market, I would say.
In so many years of tracking the markets and elections, I haven't seen a government who is so confident of coming back into power that, Prime Minister Modi did mention that post 4th of June, you're going to see the markets rally, right? So, of course, there is this level of confidence that's there for sure. But if there is policy continuity, which I think the market wants and is focusing on, then what are the themes that you see over the next 1 year that people should bet on now?
So, Sonia, it's not 1 year as in fact, I did write and author an article on money control where I showed that how leadership is looking very similar to the 2003 to 2008 bull market, right?
Wow. Okay.
Where all your cyclical sectors, autos, auto components, hotels, real estate, capital goods, power, telecommunication. These were all sectors which were the lagging sectors of the previous bull market. And they are now all the leading sectors, right? So it's quite instructive if you look at financial year 23-24, or even if you take the last 24 months, and if you do a sector leadership, right? There are several NSE sector indices. The top performing sector is real estate. Then it is, I think, Nifty Defense. Then it is the PSU banks, then it is Nifty infrastructure. None of these, the top 5 or 6 best performing sectors, were the leaders of the pre-COVID bull market cycle. And then if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, it's Nifty FMCG, Nifty private banks, Nifty financial services, and they were all the leaders of the previous cycle. They are all the laggards of this cycle, right?
So
I think that leadership has changed.
No, is it fair to assume that the laggards who have now become the leaders, as you said, right? That is a space that will continue to grow?
I would think so. I would think so. See, even within that, there are always ebbs and flows, right? It's like in a boxing match, even an opponent can sometimes win a round. That doesn't mean, right? So you may have a quarter or two where the FMCG guys, will come back and stuff like that happens. But when you take a slightly longer term view, I think the leadership clearly is with the more infrastructure, capex, power, capital goods. I mean, that entire cohort of sectors, I think the leadership continues to be there.
All right. Hi, Hiren. Good to see you in the studio. As they have been saying, Hrithik hasn't danced as yet, because all those Hrithik, HDFC Bank and the likes, they haven't moved that much in comparison to what the gains that we've seen, say, in the real estate space. And as you were coming in, we had a flash that was up for our viewers on the screen, where Godrej Properties have sold 600 flats in Noida for 2,000 crores. Hotcakes, that sort of demand is what we're seeing. But Hiren, I want to talk about NVIDIA. Overnight, you've seen this big rally out there. And you woke up this morning to those brilliant results.
Yeah, I just saw the numbers while I was walking in.
Yeah, I mean, we wake up a little earlier.
So what, is the stock up? Is the stock up?
2.5 trillion in terms of market capitalization.
By the way, Nigel, I should tell you this, that Hiren and me are neighbors. So he wakes up at the same time as us. It's just that he works out while we are walking our way to the studio. So he's, running or jogging on the road.
So what's the play here in the Indian markets? I'm looking at some of these mid-cap IT names. Tata Elxsi, case in point, is up 4.5% as we speak. The AI focus is definitely picking up steam. How would you play this theme?
So, Nigel, very difficult to, unlike in the US where there are direct AI plays, right? So I think if you really look at what's happening is that right now it's the companies which are building the GPUs and the servers, or what we call as the AI infrastructure layer is doing well, right? Okay. I think once that build out happens with a lag, you will find the AI applications starting to do well. I mean, every Indian software company is saying that I am AI ready with my workforce, right? TCS being right at the top, Persistent has been talking about it, a lot of them. But I think for that to be seen in the numbers and to move the needle, it's going to take a little bit of while, right? So I think at this point in time, it's all AI infrastructure. So the data centers, one way to play that in India would be to play the beneficiaries of the data center build out, right? Because that's the critical infrastructure that you require. And then the application software layer will come in.
Indeed.
And then, how much it's like if you remember, when digital was a big thing, everybody used to say, okay, my digital is 14% of revenue, then it went to 20% of revenue, then it went to 30%. Now you don't know what is digital and what is not, right? So I guess AI will still, right now, very small percentage. Whether it moves the needle, very difficult to say.
We had somebody saying something like a NetWeb. They make servers and that kind of stuff. So you got to look at very disaggregated kind of play.
Yeah, we own that with full disclaimer. But something like that, there are always a few things here and there. Yeah. There is another very interesting company, but again, with full disclosure that we and our clients own. It is a company called Latent View. Right. Yeah. They do a lot of data analytics, AI work. So there are a few disparate players here, a smaller place, but there's no direct AI play like you have in the US market.
Yeah. Another way perhaps is looking at it's maybe second level, third level, but power, because power consumption required is in the order of magnitudes for AI. And everything is, if most things are going to go that way, power consumption it goes through the roof, which means, this entire T&D kind of space.
Yeah, that's already happening, right?
That also ties in with what you said, industrials and...
exactly, because I think power was a utility sector. Now it's a growth sector, right? People used to buy power stocks for dividend yield.
Absolutely. The other space, one name that I remember you liked is Jubilant FoodWorks.
Yes.
This is a few months ago, maybe, when we had spoken. Results came, I saw an upgrade as well I was mentioning earlier from one of the brokers. You still like it? You still own it? Hiren?
We don't own it, Prashant. Our thinking was that, they had a tough period during COVID, right? And then we thought that there will be a pickup in consumption. But we haven't seen anything great happen for the last couple of years. Consumers have been downtrading. They haven't been going that often. And today, with platforms like Swiggy and Zomato, you have access to a far larger variety of, options that a customer has.
Yeah.
Earlier it was only Jubilant, and so on and so forth. And then inflation also took away, some of the pricing power from these guys. So maybe things are bottoming out there, right? And, things could incrementally improve from here. But I think the trends that we are seeing in the more premiumization or the premium consumption is far stronger than what we are seeing here, right? So I think this might take a little bit much longer to revive. Maybe we are seeing early green shoots, but nothing very dramatic.
Nothing significant. Okay. Another space, just before we let you go, I wanted to mention, a lot of these defense stocks are sitting at fresh highs this morning. So that's really the space to be. BEL, there is Garden Reach, there's Mazgaon Dock, there is Hindustan Aeronautics, Cochin Shipyard, that whole lot, right? BEML as well. And it's not just defense, but it's also India manufacturing for itself and for the world, right? That whole theme is picking up quite a bit. We saw it with Dixon Tech as well. In that space, any stocks that still stand out?
So we own, we do have an exposure to Dixon. We've been having it for a couple of years now. And
it's played out, you think?
I think they can grow multifold from here, right? I don't know if, I think it's very clear, the policy level is very clear that we want to reduce our dependence on imports very dramatically, right? And I think just a few weeks ago, I think I heard the EM Jaishankar talk about how we may not have geostrategic leverage if we continue to import $100 billion worth of stuff from China, right? And if you look at the top import items, it starts with electronics. Yeah. And I think this government has been very clear that you get to have the electronic manufacturing ecosystem in India. It's already happening. Apple is here. I think Google is also going to get stuff manufactured here. We're going to have all these laptops and tablets going to be manufactured here. So I think the runway for growth is still significant. And to your question on defense, I think, that continues to be a multi-year theme. Recently I met a small defense manufacturer based out of Indore. And we were just generally chatting. And he said that he's never experienced something like this. He said the Undersecretary of Defense called him and said, you guys are the 10th largest exporter of, defense products. And they make some shells for the ammunition and stuff like that. And they said, look, you've done X crores this year. Your target is X plus Y crores next year. Let us know what you need from us, what help you need from us. That razor sharp is the focus to get domestic manufacturing in defense and also to get exports get kicked off. So yes, all of this has done quite well. It's sometimes scary when you look at how the stock prices have moved. Yes. But that's exactly what happens, right? There is a doubling and a doubling and a doubling. Obviously, you need to have a long-term view. And, this is not a recommendation, but I think we are still not done with it.
Okay, still not done with it. That's going to stay with me, that despite the rally we've seen in names like Dixon Tech, there could be still lots more to go. Thanks a lot, Hiren, for joining in.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.